obviously, like, you've really got to trust that rope. Like, you're hanging off a cliff and you've got to have, but do you have to have, like, a specific, like, you have to be trained on how to know how to hook it up and things like that?
Yeah.
And, like, does it just hook onto a rock? Like...
Welcome to the Harry & Co podcast show. Please like and subscribe for more. Trials and tribulations of trying to do a podcast.
Do you believe me now? Did you see on the comments of my friends?
Oh, yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
I love reading the comments.
Well, they're not hundreds, but like they're all like, oh,
thousands
of comments. Your accent. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, but all your comments are like, this is amazing. Like,
yeah,
I love it. What day is it? Thursday. It's a Thursday.
Are we recording?
We are recording.
All right. Well, you intro.
Okay, intro. I'll do the intro.
I just need to go back a bit.
I can
look at you.
Look at each other. Hello, Nicole.
Hi.
We can move the camera or we can move you. We can move each other. You're pretty central. Anyway, it's Thursday, and you know what that means? It doesn't mean anything, because it's not always a Thursday that we record the podcast. But it's Thursday today. We're in York, and it's the Harry & Co podcast show with the lovely Nicole.
Hello. Thank you. Lovely to be back.
You're always here. I said that last time.
Oh,
that
cut.
means...
Cut
no,
that.
you don't cut it. But if I say that, it means... But people can tell it's a different one because I've got a different clothes on.
You know, I was picking out because, like, I looked and, like, I know sometimes we can sit in the studio and then, like, we'll use it as another episode or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, well, I can't wear that one. I wore that one.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
3 weeks ago. So I'm like, oh, better get a new outfit back out.
We could have a wardrobe, like, of podcast clothes.
Imagine.
But then we would get through them quick.
Can we do, like, outfits, like, each week? Like, if I, like, had, like, funky, like, sunglasses, and then the next week I come in with, like, a wig on, like,
what
a
about
clown wig.
Elton John glasses with all the stars or the hearts or something a bit
But
strange.
people that are just listening on, like, Spotify or Apple,
yeah.
they wouldn't appreciate that.
They don't get the visual effect.
But that's why you have to watch it on YouTube, because you've got to see
YouTube. What's our preferred platform? Is it YouTube? Like, does it?
I think it just really depends. Obviously, if I'm driving in the car, like,
Yeah.
I love listening to podcasts, so but I subscribe to Apple Music, so then it's what is it called? Apple Podcast.
But do people have to pay? We should know all this.
I know, shouldn't we?
But when at the moment we're putting the podcast out and it's like open on Apple. So I don't know if you can listen. I'm sure you must be able to listen to some podcasts
No, you can.
for free. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this would be free.
Listen for free.
Yeah.
But YouTube, they have to watch adverts, don't they? Unless they pay on YouTube.
No, because I don't pay, and I've never had to watch
It's
adverts
weird,
on
isn't
ours.
it?
Maybe
You
it's
know what?
because
'Cause
it's so short.
Yeah, but no one wants to advertise on ours
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Until we're there and we're like, yeah, we're super famous like all these other people.
Okay.
These little poor York podcasters. Anyway, so yeah, it's the Harry & Co podcast show with the lovely Nicole and no one else.
No one else.
It's just us. It feels like ages since...
It does. How was your week? What do you? I saw you abseiling.
Oh yeah, so up the mountains.
You're not scared of heights or anything?
I was scared of heights going back sort of 4 or 5 years, but since doing a lot of climbing, I've become like used to trusting the equipment.
Can I ask? So obviously, like, you've really got to trust that rope. Like, you're hanging off a cliff and you've got to have,
Yeah.
But do you have to have, like, a specific, like, you have to be trained on how to know how to hook it up and things like that?
Yeah.
And, like, does it just hook onto a rock? Like, how does that even work?
So I don't want to go too crazy.
Okay.
We could do like a climbing podcast. I'm sure there's some wicked climbing podcasts. But when you're setting ropes up, you'd be looking for like protection. So you would, like if there's a metal bolt in the rock, for example, you wouldn't just like set up a system on one. You'd have like backup ones. So when you arrive at some places, there's multiple like metal bracketry to hook up to. But
okay. So there's actually
some
people
places.
some places.
Okay. But some places you will anchor to rocks using different like fixings that you take with you.
Okay.
So like you jam things in, or
Wow.
if there's a pointy pinnacle of a rock, you can put a loop around it. I'll try and keep it simple, but put like a loop of rope around it and use that and try and find another one to give you the extra protection if one fails and stuff. But
do you always make someone else test it before you get on it, or are you like the man that's like, I'm going to test this bad boy?
It's trust the equipment. You've got to trust the equipment. It's a strange one, isn't it? Because most of the time or a lot of the time, you're connected to one rope. And I've seen videos before where there's been a rock fall and land directly on the rope and cut the rope, because rocks can be really sharp.
Yeah.
So...
Have you ever had a bad incident? With...
Like, if you're climbing, we've all fell. Like, I think the most I fell I took a fall of maybe like 10 meters.
Okay.
Which is quite scary.
That is quite there. That's...
But you know that, I don't know, it's a difficult one. You've got to trust the person that's working with you.
Yeah.
Trust the equipment.
So who did you go out with? Just a bunch of friends?
Yeah, so people in northern Italy.
Okay.
Like in Bergamo, Brescia area and stuff like that. Yeah, it was cool. It was really cool. Super cool.
That's nice.
So I've got to keep the adventures going. I love it.
I know you're just like an adrenaline junkie, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like next one is paragliding again. Like the next time I'm out in Italy, I've got all the paragliding rig. I want to get back on the mountain and jump off like with my wing.
This is where we're just completely different. Like when I was a kid, I used to love going like roller coaster and things like that.
Yeah.
Would you ever see me on anything like that
Not
ever
now.
again? No.
It's weird, isn't it? Because this whole thing with what you like doing, I think it's what you like doing is a huge part of your life, right? If you want to go climbing, skiing, or paragliding or something, and like you're massively into it and you want that adrenaline stuff, then like partners and things like that, like you're going to want somebody that's going to share that with you, unless they stay at home and you go off with your mates.
Yeah, it's not fun, is it? You've got to be with someone that kind of, you enjoy doing things together. I think you hit the nail on the head though when you said like you've got to trust the equipment, and I think that's my issue. Yeah. It's like if I go on a roller coaster, I'm like, who's checked this thing? Why is it still? I think you've really got to have trust in like technology.
Yeah, it's
and
weird,
trust
isn't
in,
it?
like,
Roller coasters.
the equipment.
I think if you look at the statistics and stuff, like these roller coasters are running every day. There was that one at Aunt Towers, the Smiler ride years ago.
Yeah.
That crashed into another one.
That person lost their legs.
Yeah.
And this is the thing is that's all I think of when I'm sat on there. So it's not the millions of probably rides that they've taken.
Exactly.
It's the one negative. And I'm like, yep, that's going to be me. Yep, I'm gone.
That's the thing. It's all statistical, right? So, I've been on flights before and it's just crossed my mind, like we could crash.
Yeah.
But statistically, it could be like 1 in a few million or something crazy. Because like flights, for example, they're going like, thousands of flights around the world like every day. Or hundreds an hour at different airports, right? Hundreds and hundreds. So statistically, you're pretty safe. But there's always, like, planes do crash. You don't want to be on the one that crashes. Weird, isn't it? And like roller coasters don't crash. Oh, but they do, because that one did, and people lost their legs.
Yeah.
I wonder how much money they got. I don't want to be like vulgar and be like, oh, but they got some money.
Yeah.
But like genuinely, I wonder how much money they got. Like how, because for this is a shit one really. For insurance companies, like a life has got a value. And I think it's the same with like the army or like, so if you lost your life in the army in war or something or whatever, or an accident in the army, your life has got a value. So your family, parents or, like kids or wife or whatever, there's a value to your life that, what money in monetary terms that they would get potentially if you died in an accident.
So is that every single person like that, but it's all different? What's that based on?
I guess like, would you get more money than me? Like who's more?
Yeah, like how do they rate that? Is it just like, it's £1 million, obviously I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
It's £1 million flat rate if someone lost their life, or does it just depend on the situation?
So with the legal stuff, there's loads of variables, right? So yes, a life is worth an amount of money, but imagine that, for example, people then pay for life insurance and that, and it depends what happens to you, right? So if you can pay for life insurance and insure yourself for like £1 billion, right, if you could afford the premiums, and you might get £1 billion if if something happened. But generally, more like if you were in a car accident and someone else's insurance had to pay out because you passed away, for these kind of things, there's values, but. And like if you lost a leg, there's you can Google. It's horrible. You can Google like what's the insurance payout if you lost one leg, and there's lists. And actually, I was speaking to someone about this, and there is like a matrix for insurance companies and legal teams, and they can go, oh yeah, so lost one leg below the knee, and like really specific. There's values.
Wow.
How horrible is that?
Yeah, that is like to know that we're just literally based on what we're worth when we pass away.
Exactly. It's horrible. But then but then the other thing to take into account is, so imagine you're working and like you're a bigwig somewhere and you're making like $500,000 a year, massive salary. And so you support your wife and kids and whatever. Yeah. So you're supporting other people with a big salary. And they're used to that and quality of life and stuff like that. I think stuff like that gets taken into account as well.
Okay, yeah, of course, I guess, yeah.
Life for your family can't just stop financially. So that's when I think it gets complicated. But generally there's these, like so whiplash and things like that, like claims that are everyday sort of claims. There's money values to it.
That's crazy, isn't it?
It is, isn't it? So I don't know how we got to this by talking about climbing, but
Swiftly moving on.
Trusting the equipment. Back again. Anyway, yeah, it's a weird one, isn't it? Heights and stuff, trusting the equipment, like the whole, I don't know. But I like the adventure sports. I don't know if I'll get to the point of like base jumping. Like there were some guys down in a cafe when we finished climbing, they've been wingsuiting, jumping off with their wingsuits, like base jumping off the top of where we were.
Is that like free jumping kind of thing?
Yeah, just jumping and then like literally pulling the parachute or already holding their... I think some of them were in wingsuits.
Yeah,
like proper,
I've always seen videos of that, and it's just fascinating.
It is, but... And they make it look like an everyday event because they just run and jump off.
Yeah, it's just like they finish work. Oh yeah, I'm off.
Yeah,
I'm off to just go do some free jumping.
But if you got to the edge of that cliff, and even with a rope, like it was a bungee jump, and you knew you were safe, even then you'd be like, trying to jump would be.
Yeah.
So doing it with just trusting the thing on your back, like parachute, I don't know. See, I think we've all got levels, haven't we, of where we'd go. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, it's all good. It's all good in the hood. What am I looking at? If I look at the screen, am I looking... Oh, there's my camera.
There's my camera.
But if you look at the screen, it looks like my eyes are going a bit off to the side. I'm better off looking at you. Otherwise, I look like a right nutter.